welcome back to the channel. I am yours truly, and today I want to do something a bit random and want to get away from the top teams of college football and decided to do a schedule prediction for UCF. Well, UCF last year, while they were members of the American Conference, they went 9-3 for the regular season with losses to Louisville, East Carolina, and Navy. Now they made it to the American Championship game. They lost to Tulane, and then the bowl game they lost to Duke. So that gives you a quick recap for 2022. Now this year is their first year as a Power 5 member. They made it to the Big 12 conference along with three other teams also made it into the Big 12 conference. So it's going to be their first year as a Power 5 member, and therefore their schedule going to get a lot tougher. So enough of 2022. Let's get to some of the odds for UCF in 2023. As we take a look at UCF's Vegas numbers for 2023, this is an idea of what the betting public thinks UCF is going to do in 2023. And the over/under win total for UCF this year is at 6.5 point or 6.5. So what that means is, if you feel confident that UCF will do 7-5 or better, you bet the over. If you feel confident that UCF will do 6-6 or worse, go bet the under. Now this is just regular season. This is not counting conference championships or playoffs or bowls. So this is based off of a 12-game schedule. For the national title odds for UCF in 2023. Unless you're feeling absolutely bold or you feel like donating some money to the Las Vegas casinos, the odds for UCF are at plus 30,000. Meaning, if you put $100 down, and UCF somehow, in some way, wins the national title, you'll win $30,000. This is just as it's recording it. I don't think that number's going to change anytime soon, but if you're feeling bold, those are the odds. For the Big 12 title this year, the odds for UCF to win the Big 12 title is at plus 4,000. Like I said, if you put $100 down, you win $4,000 if UCF wins the Big 12. So anyways, let's get right into the schedule. As we take a look at UCF's schedule for 2023, I'm just briefly looking at it. This schedule doesn't look too hard, but also doesn't look too easy either. And before people get on here and say, oh, UCF doesn't have no Power 5 non-con opponents. Well, when you're transitioning over to a Power 5 schedule, it's kind of nice to have three non-Power 5 non-con opponents, if you know what I'm saying. So, and plus the bye week is right in the middle of their schedule. So, it's ideal for their bye week as well. So, enough of me glancing over the schedule. Let's get into picking winners and losers. For the first game on UCF's schedule is a home game, a Thursday night game against Kent State. And Kent State was one of the better offenses. It's going to be interesting to see how well they do in 2023. But as far as this game, I think UCF will take care of business against Kent State. For the second game on UCF's schedule, they will take a road trip to Boise State. Boise State is respected as one of the best Group of 5 teams historically and in some way even recently. However, I do think, despite UCF having to go on the road to play Boise State, I think UCF will get the win over Boise State. And for the third game over Villanova, I think that's going to be a 50-plus point win for UCF. So UCF is at 3-0 at this point. Up next for UCF is their conference opener as a Big 12 member against K-State. This game is on the road, so they're going to have to go to Kansas State to try to beat them. And I think Kansas State is going to be one of the favorites to win the Big 12. Maybe not the favorite, but one of the favorites. And having to go play them on the road, that's a recipe for disaster for UCF. So I think in this game, UCF takes their first loss of the season against Kansas State. Up next on the schedule is a home game with Baylor, their Big 12 home opener. Now, Baylor, I feel like last year was a bit a middle of the road, not bad, but not great. Uh, and I think UCF on paper to me seems like they're a better team than Baylor, but I think Baylor comes into Orlando and steals a win and upsets UCF, giving UCF their second loss of the season. So UCF loses to Baylor. Next game on UCF's schedule is they're going to have to go back to Kansas. This time they play the Jayhawks. And the Jayhawks last year had a great season for Kansas standards. They made a bowl game. Unfortunately, they lost the bowl game, but they still made a bowl game. And while I think Kansas is going to be decent this year, I don't think they're going to quite have enough to pull off an upset against UCF. So UCF gets a win over Kansas. The next game on UCF's schedule is a road trip to Oklahoma. Now, this is a road trip after a bye week the week before for UCF. And this game to me looks like a disastrous game for UCF. I'm not saying Oklahoma's going to be the best defense of all time. Oklahoma's still going to be nowhere close to where they want to be on defense, but I just see like multiple turnovers for UCF. It's just going to be like a forgetful day, and I think UCF will probably lose this one by 20, 30 points to Oklahoma on the road. So UCF gets their third loss of the season. The next game on UCF's schedule is a home game, or the homecoming game actually for UCF. It is against West Virginia, and I'm going to keep it real with you. Probably by this point, West Virginia is going to be looking for a new coach, or they're going to be looking for one shortly after. As I'm not on the Neil Brown hype train. They should have fired him last year, but West Virginia didn't have enough money to fire him. So unless he has a turnaround season, which I don't see that happening, I think Neil Brown's going to be fired by this game or the season after the season's over with. So UCF probably wins this game. I don't know, probably about 20 points or so after an embarrassing loss to Oklahoma the week before. So UCF gets a win. Next game on UCF's schedule is a road game with Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati last year had a great season. Unfortunately for Cincinnati, they lost Coach Luke Fickell to Wisconsin. So in comes Scott Satterfield from Louisville. And I think this game's going to be an interesting game. This was like the game of the year for years in the American Conference. So now that these two teams are Big 12 teams, it should be no different. However, I don't think that Cincinnati's going. It's going to be a close game, but I just don't think Cincinnati. I think they're going to have like a key turnover at the end, or they're going to have something go wrong at the end, and UCF pulls out a close road win over Cincinnati. The next game on UCF's schedule is a home game with Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State is one of the better teams in the Big 12. There's some people that's hyping up Oklahoma State. I don't see where the hype is coming from. I think Oklahoma State's going to be a terrible team. Like, they're going to be probably fighting for bowl eligibility at this year. Maybe not even make a bowl. That's just how I feel about Oklahoma State. And I'm going to have to say that UCF gets a win over Oklahoma State. The next game on UCF's schedule is a road trip to Texas Tech, and I'm going to say I'm buying in on the hype as far as Texas Tech having a great season. The pieces are there for them to make a run, and if one or two things go their way, they're a serious Big 12 title contender. Now, I'm not saying Texas Tech is going to blow out UCF, but I think this game's going to be down to a touchdown. Going to be close in the fourth quarter. I just think Texas Tech is going to make a key stand or get a key touchdown. They'll put them over UCF. So UCF will lose a close one to Texas Tech on the road. And for the last game for UCF in 2023 is a home game against Houston. Now these teams met often in the American Conference. Now they meet as Big 12 members in 2023. And for Houston, I think Houston should have joined the Big 12 Conference a year sooner than they did, because I think this Houston team is going to be one of the worst teams in the Big 12 this year. I just don't have a lot of confidence for Houston this year. Other than that, I think UCF will win probably by 2 touchdowns over Houston to close out the season at 8-4. So that wraps up the 2023 schedule prediction for UCF. And my closing arguments. This is a fairly decent season for a first-year team coming in from the group of 5. So 8-4, I would say, is a decent season. Now the ceiling for UCF is probably 9-3. Like, me predicting 8-4 as being a bit optimistic, but I think they could somewhat do it. You know, if the cards fall into place. 9-3 is the ceiling. Now for the floor, I would say it's probably about 6-6, maybe 5-7, somewhere in there. So, I hope you liked the video. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your mama. It doesn't really matter to me. I really do appreciate everybody that comes around and watches these videos. It means a lot to me. Other than that, until next time, thank you for watching.